Well, let's talk a little bit about the conversation that we're having around fulcrum, and that's the word, isn't it? Fulcrum news.
Fulcrum news.
And the QAnon and the Hegelian dialectic. Is that right?
Well, I'm not sure how you're going to tie that in, but it might be right.
I might have chosen the wrong word.
Well, it is always a fun topic. But.
Yeah, but the proposed idea was that all of this QAnon, Fulcrum, everyone is essentially a puppet that's playing out a play, like a worldwide wrestling event, right? and we are all watching this, and because we're watching this, because our attention's being paid to this, big event, and we think something is going to happen without our involvement, we won't get involved. Is the gist of what I think some people are saying now. The Lightbringer flex, I don't know. Lightbringer flex. And, star seeds aside.
I love how you're struggling with their handles.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about this a while back. I think it's been months ago we were considering the possibility.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it came up again, and really, it's an interesting idea, and it could be true.
Yeah, what if? What if this whole thing is staged? I figured it was possible, but it would require a lot of orchestration, so I didn't know. But the thing is with the elites, they've got quadrillions of dollars or whatever it is, so I can see a lot of that orchestration happening.
I mean, it's not good to underestimate them, right? Like, it's not good to underestimate anyone. Right?
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Sather will tell us that of the trillions of dollars that went missing from the Pentagon, that's just a drop in the bucket of what is actually missing. And plus, on top of the stuff that never was accounted for in the first place. But he will also tell you that, and he's just tweeted this today, that money went into building underground bases as well as secret space program technology, military hardware and whatnot up in space or wherever they are in Antarctica. But the thing is that a lot of that money really could be also going into a side sort of a psyop, a huge psyop that's paying both Clinton campaigns and Trump campaigns and so on and so forth.
And Trump supporters and supporters of supporters and all
we're
just
talking
on the dole. Yeah, we're talking a massive
huge amounts of money that we have a hard time wrapping our mind around it.
But with that
level of orchestration.
I mean, there's some practical implications with that, though. If that amount of money is being just spread into whatever side it's being spread into, wouldn't that devalue the USD?
The value of the USD?
Yeah, if we had a bunch of money just being funneled into a various amount of sources, do they have enough market manipulation that they can counteract it? I mean, I'm sure they probably could, right?
Yeah, it seems like pretty much every market is rigged. Yeah, cryptocurrency markets are a little bit. I
mean, it also could just be that
different in how
it's such a small drop.
Rigging works.
It's such a small drop in the bucket to pay off, 300, 400 people $200,000 to $300,000, right? Even like $1 million a piece is just nothing.
Right? Yeah, millions of dollars are pocket change.
Yeah.
So all the millionaires we know of.
Yeah.
Yeah, like hardly, Yeah,
it's just. And that's just compared to the U.S. GDP, right? We're talking, the U.S. GDP is trillion. Isn't it trillions? What is that?
Yeah. You can look it up for the actual number.
$18.62 trillion in 2016.
Yeah. Crazy. Well.
So millions of dollars is just a drop in the bucket. $18.62 trillion. So, if this is a PSYOP, though, it's a pretty desperate one, right? Like, to run this PSYOP, it would mean that people are upset enough with what's currently going on that they're willing to take some shots to the face, right? I'm pretty sure no one, participating in it particularly wants to do this, right? Like, wants to go down this road. If they are...
They feel forced to do it.
Right.
And they appear to be able to understand the mindset of people in general.
It's kind of like putting it back into WWE. If it's just political theater, it's not like WWE people don't get hurt, right? They just don't get hurt as badly as it looks like they're getting hurt.
Well, I mean, this isn't WWE either. They don't really have the same rules as wrestling does. Yeah. I would imagine that some people do get hurt very badly.
Sure.
Possibly killed and everything. So.
Yeah. That's true. It doesn't.
But it's still a theater. It's a theater. It's like killing someone on camera.
Right.
Like they're actually dead.
Right.
But you did it for the show or something.
You did it because for the shock value, like I don't know, like a supervillain, right? Like a classic movie villain.
Well, it looks like the scale of the theater is really incredibly broad and incredibly deep.
And keep in mind, we're just saying it. For the moment, we're just saying if it exists, right?
Yep.
We're considering the possibility, immersing ourselves in the idea that this is all just political theater.
Yeah, that's what we typically do.
Yeah. And
we'll take something seriously for just a bit and go through all of the motions.
Which, so what is... If QAnon is part of that political theater, he's there to provide some sort of channeling, right? Focus on one thing but not the other things, right? Because I'd imagine if he's leading people to things, he's not leading people to everything, right? There's still the nest egg or whatever. So he'll go circle them around, And
yeah, Hugh is unique, I think, in that he's shown or demonstrated that he's close to the president.
Yeah.
In one way or another, and has access to military intel.
But for all
he's
this...
been able to prove that he does.
All this PSYOP stuff would mean that the president is as well part of that PSYOP, right?
Yeah, but and not everyone that's involved needs to know that they're part of the PSYOP either.
Yeah,
I don't know what Trump knows, but...
Right. But then would you say... who is more likely, would you say, to know? Do you think Q is more likely than to know that this is a giant PSYOP?
To know what?
This is the giant PSYOP?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. And it seems like if you're going to be that close to the top, that there's a good chance that you'd know.
Right.
But how close are they to the actual top? Is the real question.
Yeah. Is Q being?
I think there's a huge mountain above them.
Is Q just being fed information that he has to leak?
Probably, yeah. He's probably briefed like the rest of them.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people will, get their marching orders, whether they understand, that they came from somewhere else or not. Like sometimes they will feel like they're authoring their own marching orders, that they're marching to their own beat.
But they're not.
But they're not, which is the key of how mind control works.
Right. Yeah.
Or at least that's a symptom of mind control.
Right.
Which is really pretty benign. It's, psychology and other things.
I always love these flamboyant terms that are like, oh, this is the awakening. This is mind control. This is, that sort of thing. When really there's better, more banal terms that don't have that flamboyancy but get the point across better. Right?
Yeah.
And as a big fan of Orwell, I find myself fairly frustrated at these big terms like mind control or the awakening because they don't contain what you're actually trying to say. They skirt the issue. And like
a lot of words are like that.
Which is fine. I don't want to limit language, but I want to be very precise with my language. And I want people to think about and use language precisely. Right?
Yeah, I gotta say I have maybe 5 minutes left.
Okay.
So we'll want to figure out how to use that time. I don't know what do you want to cover for the rest of it?
Well, I don't know. I thought this was just a rant.
That could be. There's a lot of time that we're going to probably spend talking about getting the right words.
Well, yeah, but that's part of the process, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
finding the right abstraction.
Right. Without it, you lose. Without it, you lose the mimetic properties of what you're trying to say. Right. If you're choosing the wrong word, you're getting across the wrong meme. And if you're getting across the wrong meme, you don't have control of that meme. You're not putting out the right thing necessarily. And then you end up...
Misconceptions can kind of tumble into others. Just because you're using the word that bakes that misconception in.
Yes.
It's just as simple as that. Switching the word to use something that more accurately targets what you're trying to say avoids that mental block.
Exactly.
And that goes into the last... one thing that I think is important to say is I think it's pretty clear that we have this big ball of misunderstandings about how the world works in the public's eye. Just by the public, I just mean popularity-wise.
Yeah. So
right now, the popular view of the world is totally and hopelessly wrong in almost every way.
Right.
And that's not an accident. That's mostly political. And
right.
But the thing is the most important misunderstandings in that ball of misunderstandings, the most key misunderstandings are the ones about knowledge and about how we acquire knowledge. And one of the most important, most common, I guess, misunderstandings about knowledge that we have is the misunderstanding that that knowledge is relative to some foundation, or that there's a foundation of knowledge that you're building.
He's talking about
that gives it structure.
You're talking about foundationalism. That evidence is how we build a foundation for knowledge.
Yeah, or evidence or any other foundation.
Right.
In the past, we used the church
or hearsay,
some other
rules
rumor.
of thumb.
Yeah, you would trust the elders.
Yeah.
For their elderly wisdom. Anymore, it's a lot of the elders are scientists.
Yeah.
And they have the backbone of evidence.
We will have to
supposedly.
We'll have to do a talk about science and scientists and just how that's
just to frame it right.
Yeah, because that's such a weird, like, you really have to sit down and talk about that one, because it's weird to think that that science and scientists are leading us astray, maybe unintentionally. And I'm not saying that
mostly.
Probably
mostly unintentionally.
Mostly unintentionally.
They rely on experts in their fields.
Yeah.
To supply them with what to trust.
Right.
And this is broken epistemology.
That in and of itself is
absolutely
broken.
Thoroughly broken.
Yeah.
It's another example of foundationalism with respect to expertise. And the reality is a good idea is good regardless of who has it.
Right.
It doesn't matter who's saying it.
Yep.
It doesn't matter how it's said necessarily. I mean, except for the for the explanatory part.
Which is why freedom.
But an idea isn't.
Which is why freedom of speech is so important, right?
Yeah. You have to have the freedom to disagree.
Right.
In public.
Right.
Have big public disagreements.
And big public disagreements and debates and
have it not devolve into physicality or violence.
Yep.
It's really important to not cross that.
Or be suppressed.
You fight words with words. You fight guns with guns.
Or be suppressed. That's really interesting case for an ethic that you can derive, why freedom of speech is important from the necessity of building knowledge, and the fact that knowledge doesn't just come from some single or subset of sources. It can come from any source.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So there's other ways of telling if an idea is a good idea. And we go over that kind of thing. We're going to go over that more.
Yeah, a lot.
But foundationalism is a key and common. It's the reason for the big ball of lies in there. It's a big snowball right now. Right. And it's starting to crumble, because the bigger it gets, the less it can hold itself together. So when the whole ball of lies falls apart, you have this so-called awakening that people are talking about. But the thing is it's really just a collapse of foundationalism. Right,
as constraints slowly block it out. Right.
People's foundations are holding that whole ball up. It's a house of cards. Mm-hmm. And there's in knowledge, there is no such thing as a reliable source.
Yeah.
Right? We'll go into that more.
Yep.
For now, I'm out of time.
All right. Well, we'll talk to you later.
Yeah, talk to you later.
Bye.